Vernon Felton. I'm a senior editor at Bike Magazine. We're at the Kingdom Trails in East Burke, Vermont. And today we're looking at Rocky Mountain's Altitude 770 MSL. Now, Rocky positions this as sort of like an all-mountain enduro bike, and in fact it's the same frame platform that their enduro racers are racing on. But I have to tell you, and this isn't a bad thing, but it's worth noting, when I was on the trail today, it honestly felt like I was riding more of a trail bike, and I'm wondering, what did you guys think about it?
Straight in like that, huh?
I'm gonna go straight there. It's not a bad thing, but it's, you know, if you're thinking all mountain, for me this wasn't exactly all mountain.
Well, I think, you know, when ridden next to some of the other all mountain bikes in the category,
Super slack and burly and really deep travel bikes.
yeah, it feels a lot more kind of nimble and springy and
lively, light. I mean, those aren't bad things, right? Like, when we had hills that we were climbing, I really dug it.
Pedals beautifully. It's nice.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that Thunderbolt we had last year, and I loved the way this thing pedaled, the seating position, the way the suspension worked when you were climbing, and I liked the way the suspension worked all the way around. But yeah, I would contend that compared to some of the B-word, big, beefy, brawny bruisers that we have here in the all-mountain stuff, and then the more sort of, I guess we're sort of gravity focusing all-mountain more these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more that's fitting into the trail category, and like as enduro is getting more rough and rugged and downhill-esque.
Yeah, I would consider this Rocky Mountain a superb long-legged trail bike.
Now, it's worth noting that you can adjust the geometry on this bike, right? This bike comes with Rocky Mountain's Ride 9 system, and that allows you, just by flipping some chips in the shock mount, to basically change the geometry in the head tube and the seat tube by about 2 degrees. It goes
9 ways from Sunday.
9 ways from Sunday, yeah.
Which also does change the shock rate a bit as well.
Right, so if you're running it slacker, so in that case it gets up to, like, the head angle slackens out to about 66.6 degrees, and I think the seat tube goes out to like 73.6.
Yeah.
Running a slacker, assuming you want to be more gravity oriented, it makes the suspension a little bit more progressive. The idea is that you're going to be, you know, jumping off of things, pushing a little harder. You want the suspension to ramp up and not bottom out so easily.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the Ride 9? Because I know you guys are playing with it.
I played with it, yeah, and after going back to back on some of the other all mountain bikes, as soon as I got on it, it wasn't in the slackest mode, and I was like, I think I'm gonna want to put this in the slackest mode. So I did pretty soon into my ride, and I didn't feel like it compromised the climbing agility of the bike. It climbs extremely well, especially you have, you know, the shock lever.
Yeah, you have a 3-position thumb activated lever to make it go from open to firm to lock out.
Yeah,
rear.
and when pedaling it in open, yeah, there's some pedal bob and stuff, but it's totally not that big a deal.
But
and then when
bob,
you put it
not
in,
really feedback, like it didn't hang up on stuff at all. If
yeah,
you pedal
exactly.
through things while climbing, it would in the open position really well. It would bob if you're putting your body weight into it. But
yes, you're right.
The Ride 9 thing makes so much sense on this platform. And a bike like this that is not the GT sanction, it is not aimed only at the downhill. It's meant to be pedaled and pedaled quickly. You want that to behave exactly how you want it to. So it's a really good feature on this kit.
What do you guys think about value? This bike sells for $5,500. Comes with the primary Shimano XT 1x drivetrain, XT brakes, carbon fiber frame. Seem like a good value to you?
it's in the ballpark.
Yeah, it's in the ballpark for sure.
And of course, if you want to get the frame alone, it's just under $3 grand. The bikes actually start out, there's 6 models in this line, so it starts at about $2,600, goes all the way up to like $9,500. What did you actually think of the components on the bike and the way they spec'd it?
Well, I mean, that's actually a good question, because the XT 1x stuff is new.
Yeah.
The 11-speed, and it has an 1142 tooth cassette, so it has almost the same range as the SRAM 1x. It just doesn't go as high, so you have an 11 tooth instead of a 10 tooth.
Right.
But the shifting precision on that cassette is pretty hard to beat. The Shimano's always had incredibly good shifting precision, and it'll shift, seems like, better under extreme load than SRAM stuff.
And a really nice lever feel.
And great lever feel.
Very
I think
defined.
it's nice to have Shimano in the 1x game for sure, because it's been a SRAM only game for a while. And those that prefer the Shimano Shift can have it.
How about suspension? It's got a Fox 34 up front.
Yeah.
Fox shock.
I love the way this bike rode in terms of how its suspension performed. Again, last year was sort of a revelation for me because it's been a long time since I've been riding horse link bikes, and I, again, affirmed a lot of that. Like it's a very competent suspension, even though, you know, in terms of couching it in all mountain or trail terms, we're throwing it down like those rooty into the little hole, into the little rooty, into the little hole lines, and you could throw it into that stuff really hard.
Yeah.
The bike felt light, but at the same time, the suspension worked really well through all of that.
Yeah, and it does ramp up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like at the end, it's very progressive for sure. I had a hard time blowing the O-ring off that shock.
Yeah.
If people are looking towards mostly gravity, they might want to pick another bike in the category. But I think that if you're focused on just going out there and riding, and you're as focused on the climbs as you are the descents, you're going to be pretty pleased with this machine.
Want to know more about this bike? Want to burn holes into us for saying that Canadian beer sucks? You can do that. Check out our Bible bike test issue. If you want to see more bike test videos, you can also go to bikemag.com and watch more guys who are bald or going bald talk about bikes for hours.